Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. We're just talking to Phil Berg of Philadelphia, the alpha birther, according to Philadelphia Weekly. So, Phil, can you just repeat the sources on that special White House office?
It was done on the. I'm not in my office now, but it was done on the Dr. Lori Roth show, ROTH. So, I hate sending people away from your website, but if they check that out, it's a Doug Hartman, I think. I'm not sure, and a Judith. I can't think of her last name. She's from the Canadian Free Press, but both of them have investigated this for the last 8 or 9 months, and I've confirmed it from another source too. But I wouldn't be surprised. There's an office in there just dealing with this birth issue. Anything comes up, they're out there trying to counter it, and that's where the pressure has been placed from that office on the various executives of the major networks not to cover the story, which makes sense if you think about what happened with Lou Dobbs recently. He was talking about on the TV, and the head of sort of squashed it. He said not, but Lou hasn't really talked about it recently. He does talk about it every day on his, or many times still on his radio show in the afternoon, WOR Radio, New York. But the Laurie Roth show is the way to do it, and I was just on there this week. Starting next week, I'm going to be on every Monday from 6 to 7, I think, Eastern Standard Time. It'll be
the Lori Roth, ROTH, Lori Roth radio program,
yeah.
And Canadian Free Press sounds like they're of interest too, huh?
Yes, and you know what? Everyone should have the interest in this. I mean, think about it, everyone. Remember, this is a cover-up now. What is he hiding? This stuff should be out. He spent over $1 million. He's obviously hiding something. And people around the world are laughing at us. And this is a very important topic. Everyone go to my website, obamacrimes.com. Spread the word. If you can make a contribution, it's costing us in now our 14th month of doing this, and we're going to continue our effort in this so the truth comes out. And again, I've said many times, if I'm wrong, Obama, show me I'm wrong. But I think the more it goes on, the longer it plays out. It's obvious that we're not wrong. And when all is said and done, in my opinion, Barack Obama, actually Barry Soetoro, Michelle Obama, Howard Dean, the former head of the Democratic National Committee, other officials of the Democratic National Committee, senior campaign officials, and now senior administration officials who all know about this should be subjected to our criminal justice system, tried. Those convicted should go to jail. And if Obama's convicted, he should go to jail, and then he should be deported. And this sounds like tough words. People are saying, well, they won't do it because they're fearful that there'll be demonstrations in the street. Well, when the truth comes out, I hope to call together all the religious leaders in this country and political leaders and hold a massive news conference and say, what are you going to do? You're going to destroy property, injure and kill people for what? The responsibility here goes back to one person, Barack Obama, Barry Soetoro. He's not a dummy. He went to Occidental. He went to Columbia University, Harvard Law School. He was head of the Harvard Law Review. He taught constitutional law for years. So don't tell me he doesn't know what's going on. So we're going to keep up the good fight, and we appreciate your efforts.
So let me just this special office now. This reminds me of Nixon, and this sounds like the plumbers. The plumbers, of course, were the special in-house White House unit that was supposed to stop leaks from the federal government. Of course, it turned to other things. Now, here we have a combination of the plumbers and the enemies list. In other words, a special bureaucracy in the White House which reaches out to threaten and intimidate the press, and the press isn't reporting it. And we've got to turn to the Canadian Free Press and Lori Roth radio show to get what these media characters should be reporting. And MSNBC should say, today we got a threatening phone call from the Obama White House that we should stop talking about his birth certificate. And, of course, they don't do it. In other words, this is a level of corruption. With Nixon, the press were the enemies. Now it looks like they're trying to set up a kind of a cartel, right? The Obama cartel of controlled Wall Street news media that don't report anything that is damaging to the Messiah. I think that's amazing. Anyway, we're going to get New York Magazine. We'll be watching New York Magazine, and we'll be watching Philadelphia Magazine. And we invite everybody to go to obamacrimes.com and make a contribution to keep this important work going, because this is not foundation funded. We'll see you next week, Phil. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. Now, I think that's really interesting news. So we'll be looking into that, obviously. A special bureaucracy in the Obama White House. How about that? Remember the thesis here, Obama equals the economy of a Carter, the lost wars of an LBJ, and the police state practices of a Nixon. And there it is again, the new plumbers, Obama's plumbers in the White House. Now let's just wrap up with what the retail industry sales guy, Howard Davidowitz, reports. Again, retail is terrible. 100,000, hundreds of thousands of stores will close. The consumer is completely indebted. The consumer is now losing his job. The U.S. is in a death spiral. The only stores that are going to do well are Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, and 99 cents, as well as Kohl's because of their cost control. Looks like even Walmart won't be cheap enough in the depression we're going into. Hundreds of banks will fail. Well, that seems to be the consensus. 1,000 banks will blow out of the 8,500 or so left. The banks, says Davidowitz, are holding tons and tons of toxic assets. This is the Elizabeth Warren report, that the toxic assets are still kept on the balance sheets but off the balance sheets of these banks. Many banks will be hit by default, and that is because credit card people who hold credit cards are going to default. Student loans are going to default. Auto loans are going to default. And when all those defaults add up, that hits the banks. And then the commercial real estate situation is, to put it mildly, a catastrophe. So we have the REITs, Real Estate Investment Trusts, REITs. A couple of these REITs have been on the verge of bankruptcy. Vornado and Simon Properties, they have found financing in order to survive, but other REITs will not be so fortunate, and they will go down. And now here's a new term to learn for the Depression, jingle mail. Jingle mail is when you're facing foreclosure, you give up, you get out of town, and to avoid criminal charges, you put the keys to the building or the house into an envelope, you put that into the mail, and you send it to the bank. So properties are being dumped by developers, and they're sending the keys back to the banks. Now, we've heard repeatedly, according to Deutsche Bank and other surveys, that and Elizabeth Warren, too, I think, pointed to this, that in 2010, 2011, 2012, you got a huge amount of commercial real estate mortgages coming due. The rate of default is going to be 50 to 60%. So this depression has only begun to lash the world. We'll be back in a minute.